Did you know that most people who try to raise pigs start on the wrong path? And they lose money even before seeing their first results? Why does that happen? Why do so many small-scale farmers work hard for months? Buying breeding stock, paying for feed, covering transport, vet, and housing costs? Only to feel their money slipping away in the end? And why does almost no one talk about a silent error?
A morning I had long tried to forget. It was a Tuesday.
It was still dark, the house was silent, and I was sitting on the porch. I was staring at my phone with a sinking feeling. A notification from the bank had just arrived. An overdue debt of $12,000. I also had another installment for farm equipment. I didn't know how I was going to manage. It wasn't a fleeting worry. It was one of those numbers that haunted your mind at night, appearing at the dinner table. A notification from the bank had just arrived. An overdue debt of 12,000 reals. A week earlier, a local chicken farmer had gone bankrupt. We all knew him.
It wasn't a passing worry.
It was one of those numbers that haunts your mind at night, appears at the dinner table, and follows you as you try to pretend everything is under control. A week earlier, a local poultry farmer had gone bankrupt. He tried raising livestock for a while, and every corner of the homestead bore his mark. The kind of person who never complained, even when his body was exhausted. If he fell, what was waiting for me? In my family, no one said it, but I could see it in their eyes. Everyone was waiting for me to make a decision. My father spent 30 years on this land. He raised chickens, grew corn, tried raising cattle for a while. And every corner of the house bore his touch. Now that he is older and weaker, I am the one in charge. My father spent 30 years on this land. I slept little, ate irregularly, and lived with an invisible but heavy pressure. Every time someone mentioned pig farming, I would frown.
I thought pig farming was for large producers, integrated with slaughterhouses.
For those with capital to invest heavily. I imagined modern barns, contracts, labor, trucks, and technology. Without those things, I even never seriously considered this possibility. That was my first mistake. Before making mistakes with breeding stock, feed, or management, I had already lost in my mind.
because I accepted the thought that the opportunity wasn't for me. I believed that small-scale farmers could only survive, never thrive. I believed the family farm was a beautiful tradition, but not a business. Ordinance capable of paying debts and supporting a family.
Until Valdir, my neighbor, drove up in a brand new pickup truck. 8 months ago, he didn't have it. I asked him what happened. He smiled and told me,
I stopped buying weaned piglets and started producing them myself from scratch. That way, money stopped flying away and started flowing into my pocket.
that statement was the beginning.
That day, Valdir sat with me and didn't talk like a textbook expert.
He spoke like someone who had learned from losing money.
Corrected his mistakes and tried again. He said that for a long time, he did exactly what I did, buying piglets every cycle.
He went to the market, paid for piglets, brought them to the farm, raised them for months, and sold them. On paper, it seemed logical. Small pigs in, fat pigs out.
And in between, there must be a profit. But when we started adding everything up, I understood why my farm economics never made a profit.
The first shock was the price of piglets. Before producing a single kilogram of meat.
I had already handed over a huge portion of my profit margin to someone else.
Then came the feed, which seemed more expensive every month. Then fuel, vet bills, medicine, barn repairs.
Wear and tear of feeders and drinkers, and my own time, which I almost never counted.
By market time, if the price of market hogs dropped even slightly,
months of hard work were practically wasted.
That was what ruined me. I used to think the problem was selling cheap, buying expensive feed.
Or bad luck with the market.
but Valdir showed me a deeper truth. My business was losing from the start because it depended on a third party for piglets.
I didn't produce at the start of the cycle, I bought it. And anyone who buys at the start of the cycle has already put a noose around their neck. Then he said something that changed how I viewed the farm. Pig farming only makes financial sense when you close the cycle right on your own farm.
Meaning, when you stop buying piglets and start producing them yourself. It sounds simple, but that difference changes everything. When you have your own breeding sows, you transition from a buyer to a producer. The buyer bears the cost. The producer creates the profit margin. The buyer depends on prices imposed by others. The producer controls a larger part of the journey. I didn't understand everything immediately. Pablo. But I felt I had found the leak where money was escaping. For years, I worked very hard, but within a model that gave me very little chance to make a profit. I cared for the animals, cleaned, fed, did the books, and still ended up exhausted, fearful, and with no real results. It wasn't a lack of effort, it was a lack of structure. Even so, it was hard for me to believe I could produce from scratch. I thought doing that required a lot of capital, modern barns, labor, and technology. Valdir showed me that this belief was paralyzing many small-scale farmers. The issue isn't starting big, it's starting logically. And still ended up exhausted, fearful, and with no real results. That day, I understood that continuing to buy piglets was repeating the same mistake. And waiting for a miracle. If I wanted to save the farm, I had to stop thinking like a buyer and start acting like a producer with real daily discipline. After that conversation with Valdir, I understood the problem wasn't just buying piglets. There was something deeper. I had accepted the idea that a small farmer couldn't work in a closed cycle. I used to believe that to truly raise pigs, you needed a lot of money, large space, modern technology, and infrastructure I didn't have. That belief had me back for years. And the most dangerous part was that it looked like prudence, but was actually fear. The turning point came when I visited a farm in the interior of Minas. The owner there raised about 200 sows in a closed cycle and had outstanding financial results. I expected to see giant barns, expensive equipment, maintenance, an unreplicable operation. But when he told me his story, I was stunned. He started with 6 sows, 1 boar, and a simple facility. With dirt floors, a roof, and rustic feeders and drinkers. He didn't start perfectly.
He started with what was possible.
And that difference woke me up.
Returning to my farm, I stopped looking at what I lacked and started working with what I had. The first step was choosing the right pig breed for my goals.
Many don't talk deeply about this, but the breed changes costs. Care, and the final result. And that difference woke me up.
Especially in integrated systems, but that's not always the best choice.
I needed animals suited to my reality.
Rusticity and ease of raising were key, because a hardier animal reduces vet costs. Climate adaptability was also crucial, as a stressed pig eats less.
Grows slower and converts feed poorly.
And when the animal converts feed poorly, each kilogram of meat produced will cost more money.
On a small farm, those details aren't just details. They are survival. After researching and asking around, I decided to work with crossbred sows from large white and landrace. I looked for prolificacy, good mothering ability, and healthy litters. For mating, I used a terminal sire from a commercial meat line, aiming to produce piglets for fattening with good growth rates. I didn't buy anything exotic. I didn't invest unreasonably. I just tried to combine what made sense: prolific sows, good maternal instincts, and piglets with growth potential. That was the moment the farm started looking less like a problem and more like a system. Every decision had its reason. Every animal had a function. It was no longer about raising just to raise, or buying what seemed cheap. It was about building my own foundation. Simple, but orderly.
And for the first time, I felt I could start small without thinking small. Because initial scale doesn't decide the future, how you manage it does.
If those 6 sows were enough to build a great estate,
my resources could also become something serious. As long as I stopped working haphazardly and started controlling every step. After choosing the sows and boar, I understood the true strength of the business.
Billinged lay not just in owning my stock, but in controlling reproduction.
That was the heart of the entire operation.
A farmer can have good barns, good feed, and lots of determination.
But if he doesn't know when the sow is in heat, when to mate, when farrowing is expected, and how many piglets to wean, he is working blindly. I learned that a well-cared-for sow can farrow about 2.5 litters per year.